Hi. The floor is yours. You can do your presentation. We have around 10 minutes, so please keep the time.
Okay. Cool. Will do.
Go on.
Can you see the presentation? Everything okay?
Yes?
Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
Okay.
Go on.
Hi, good evening and greetings from Brussels. Sorry I cannot be with you, but I just returned from a China trip, so it was unfortunately not possible to get to Greece today. Let me just talk a little bit about how we see the role of Europe. We are the Association of the Solar Sector and represent over 300 organizations along the value chain, working closely with over 30 national associations, among them also the Greek Solar Association, HELAPCO. So, what's happening? There was recently a very important message from the IEA saying that the world is at the beginning of the end of the fossil fuel area. It's the first time that the IEA simply really said that natural gas and coal will all peak before 2030. Very important to keep that in mind. And what's the reason? The reason is the growth of renewables and in particular solar, which is growing faster than any other technology. What we're also seeing is there's a renewables pull. Business locations will be based more and more on where renewables are available. Why? Because of course we don't have any marginal cost and that's much more competitive than others. So what does that mean for solar in Europe? Solar source. We've shown in a recent survey that over 40 gigawatt was installed. Of this 40 gigawatt, about 2/3 was solar rooftop systems. And at the moment, we have over 12 million solar-powered homes in the European Union. The roundabout 40 gigawatt that was installed last year meant 43% growth of the market, which was unexpectedly high and much higher than most analysts thought. The top EU solar markets that we've seen all installed, so that means all the top 10 markets installed more than a gigawatt last year, and this will continue to be the case also in 2023. Largest market was a surprise to many, Spain last year. It took over the first place from Germany. It might change this year again. And then you had several other markets, among them also Greece with over 1.4 gigawatt of newly installed capacity. We expect further strong growth for the coming years. This year we will see over 50 gigawatts, and that despite the case that the fear factor which led to this incredible growth last year because of the energy factor is sort of gone. People are not afraid of the soaring energy prices anymore. At least that's how it looks like. Prices have come down quite a bit. Nevertheless, we are seeing that over 50 gigawatts will be installed and that the market will continue to grow in the European Union over the coming years. So we had over 200 gigawatts total installed capacity end of last year, and we are forecasting that around 600 gigawatt will be installed only 5 years later. So that means factor 3 growth. If actually the market grows faster than expected and the regulatory frameworks are in place earlier than anticipated, it could be also as large as 700 gigawatts in 2027. That's an important slide because it simply shows the anticipation from our market scenarios until 2030. In yellow, you see that we anticipate in our medium scenario 920 gigawatt. In a high scenario, it could be almost 1.2 terawatt by 2030, while the European Commission has announced in its Repower EU package a target of 750 gigawatt. That's all much higher than what we've seen in the national energy climate plans, which, at least in the old ones, foresee only 335 gigawatt of installed solar capacity by 2030. The new NECPs have to be handed in this year. So far, less than around half of the NECPs have been already handed into Brussels, and it already indicates that it's higher than it was before, but not where we are anticipating the market to grow. In any case, we have to think big. We recently modeled a 100% renewables scenario for Europe, and solar plays the biggest role. 100% renewables is not on the agenda of the European Commission or any national government so far until 2040 or 2050. It's all net zero industry. But not 100% renewable scenario. Nevertheless, what you can simply see here, that in both scenarios, the blue and the yellow one, where you see 100% renewables in 2040 or 2050, that we anticipate with over 8 or even 9 terawatt of solar in 2050. If the market is still or includes still some fossil fuels, we would see still a 4.7 terawatt market in 2050, which is huge. The great thing is Brussels has understood what role solar has to play. Here you can see at the Berlaymont an advertisement for Repower EU showing solar panels. And as part of the Europe Solar Green Deal, several important solar framework conditions and targets were set. And in her recent State of the European Union speech, Ursula von der Leyen also, as part of her Green Deal, emphasized the European industry is competitive. Because what we also see, it's not only a development, but it's also about energy security, having an own industry, and the competition is not only from China, but also from the US, where they have the Inflation Reduction Act, a very attractive instrument to attract investment, which is taking place, and a lot of Europeans have already announced to expand in the US. The biggest part of jobs, of solar jobs, nevertheless, on the deployment side of things, and we recently published a solar jobs report, and here we could see that 650,000 people were working in 2022 in solar, and this will go up, and we anticipate that already 2025, more than 1 million people will work in solar in our medium scenario. If the high scenario is out to be a reality, it will be much more. And in 2027, it could be as big as solar employed 1.6 million people in Europe. Just talking about two challenges, turning solar or big solar to reality. First is the solar workforce. So we need over 1 million people by 2025, but at the moment, we see in solar that solar has been in several countries a bottleneck. In Germany, for example, much more solar could have been installed, or several other countries if more solar installers had been available. So skilled is an important area to work on. We have to train installers. We also, of course, have to enforce the grid, where we see several markets, especially also the distribution grid, posing a bottleneck. Digitalization as part of this key. We also need secure and reliable green supply chain. The pandemic really saw how much that limited our growth. Our dependency was not healthy, so we have to set up also an own industry, create the boundary that this industry can grow, while at the same time not posing or establishing trade defense measures to also sure that, that we still can import products simply because our industry is also very small. Permitting is also key, and you all probably who are in solar are aware of that. Good thing is Brussels has understood it. During the emergency measures, permitting guidelines were implemented. The issue is that several member states not actually put that or implemented on a national level, so that this is still slowing down the installation of solar. Finally, it's all about regulatory stability. Market design is an important factor to have. And here we really lobby hard that the changes in the current market design directives under discussion in Brussels are not too much. Finally, the good thing is, end of October, the Renewable Energy Directive, after many years of discussion, has finally been published. We now have a higher renewables target and many other very positive provisions for renewables. They're almost there to meet our 2030 ambitions, over 40% renewables, because we still have to get the electricity market design directive to the finishing line. We have also the Net Zero Industry Act and the Energy Building Performance Directive, which is key for the topic we want to discuss all today. Rooftop solar is also not finally agreed on, because the Energy Building Directive will also have mandatory emissions targets for solar, which will really boost this market in the long term. And that's my introduction for this session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Schmela. I think that your presentation was really to the point. It was an overview of the main challenges and prospects of solar sector. I would like to thank you for your participation to our conference. Thank you very much. And μπορούμε να περάσουμε τώρα στις επόμενες